Hi, I'm Nick Adler, and I'm panicked about losing my mind to this NFT madness.
Lou.
How are you?
I'm doing good. And we're going to get right to it today because...
it's a good idea.
Yeah, because I'm tired. That doesn't mean I'm not excited. Today we have on Nick Adler. I don't know how to best describe him, but let's just say we don't need to go back in history, but he's a lawyer and entertainment whiz. Hooked himself up when he was in the TV business with the Snoop Dogg. And they have gone on a massive run together. And really what I want to get into today with Nick, who's in LA, is talk about crypto and NFTs and collectibles and digital stuff. There's a million people that can talk about NFTs, and obviously I follow Fred Wilson and the FTX peeps, and we could talk about all the technical side of it, but really it's a lot about culture and community, and no one knows that better than Snoop, and Nick has been working with Snoop forever. So I'm excited to just lean back on that. So hope everybody enjoys this. Let's get Nick on the phone.
Got it.
Nick.
What's up, Howard? What up?
What up? You're on Panic with Friends. I noticed that you are, and I know you're not panicked about it, you're excited about it, but you said you're panicked about NFTs and what's going through your brain. Is it just too much, too fast? I mean, we all wanted to have the browser moment of crypto. It just so happens that the browser moment seems to be underway. Fred Wilson just wrote about saying, follow the left tackle through this hole. There's something here. It's not trading, even though I think it's trading. Which has been the killer app and will continue to be the killer app. I think he's starting to see that the new killer app is community and culture. And I got Gary Vee talking about it. And he's stylistically not always my cup of tea, but Gary Vee really understands this stuff too. And obviously I wanted to chat with you because you know this stuff. So walk me through where we are today with crypto and Snoop and how you're thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing moment. I mean, this collision of technology, art, finance, gaming, gambling. I mean, I've never felt so much of a crazy movement happening simultaneously as I am right now, and really, really enjoying it. I've been with Snoop, like you said, I've been with Snoop around 15 years. We worked together. And
how old is he? Is he in his 50s?
He's approaching. This will be the big year.
And were you in the Corona commercial? I really dig that Corona commercial. I mean, I couldn't pull off any of the stuff he pulls off, including the outfits, but like that Corona commercial is pretty cool.
Isn't that amazing? They play that thing every 5 minutes. Yeah, so I actually be part of that deal. Like I was on the Snoop side and sort of like formalizing that deal and going through the process and getting it all done, working through the creative. So that's been a long, great, fun deal that is, I think, one that hopefully will continue to go on for a long time.
So I interrupted, but keep going on Snoop and NFTs.
Yeah, so he and I've worked with him a long time, and it was a kind of an interesting path to get there. And I think that the beauty of the relationship that I developed there was that I started really on the branding and endorsement side. So I worked across his brand, and I worked across his endorsements, and I was usually sort of the last line when it would be one of these sort of marquee brands that would work with him. And there's so many of them. He's an amazing, the guy is like, he's a force of nature, and there's nobody who can sell as much stuff as Snoop Dogg sells authentically, right? So that was an amazing sort of opportunity for me. And I've always been an early adopter and always been somebody who just really took to tech. And like around 2007, 2008, it got to be a passenger alongside of the social media explosion. And I had the trust in Snoop. He trusted me to sort of go out there and explore social media platforms. And that was the moment that opened my eyes to things like investing and equity, because before that I had zero financial education. I didn't even know that you could invest in companies. It was just, 2007, it wasn't on the top of everybody's mind. I mean, if you were in venture or if you were in private equity or banking, you understood it. But I don't think in the entertainment world, we understood it as well. Outside of guys like 50 Cent and stuff who'd done some equity deals with like Vitamin Water. So I was new to it. So I did a lot of deals that didn't necessarily benefit us on the equity side, but they were good promotional vehicles. And then, from there, kind of realized, hey, there's this opportunity out there and there's opportunity to be part of companies. But what I realized in 2007, 2008 is around social media, we were just passengers. Like that was being pioneered out of the Valley. And that was being pioneered by these companies, these centralized companies, call it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And so that was being pioneered by, these centralized social media companies. And they basically allowed us a platform to create, big audiences and do like, do our own content, but they owned it all and they advertised across it. And it was one of those things that, now years later, you look back and it's like, we gave them so much.
Yeah.
We gave them so much of our power. Now to get to the point and get to the question on the NFT stuff, why I'm so crazy about it. And I'm genuinely losing my mind to it. And that was kind of the reference I made earlier. Is just, it's pandemonium, but there's so much movement, there's so much happening. And I feel like we're at the center of it. We're not passengers anymore. We are central to this crypto digital NFT boom. There's going to be a million use cases for a million different categories, from insurance to real estate to whatever. But IP and creative and art and content is going to change radically because of these tools and these technologies. And someone with a voice like Snoop and reach like Snoop, and who's willing to take chances and be adventurous, it's a blank canvas for us. So I'm trying to do a lot of different things with him here, as well as with other talent that I know, as well as personally. It feels so exciting. I can only imagine what it was like to be around during the .com boom. It probably is a bit similar to that. But the other thing it's doing is opening me up to businesses around the globe. I've never been so global in my constant day-to-day business, talking to like developers in Argentina and DeFi companies in Russia. Like it's wild. So, it's about editing it all, taking it all in, and creating these projects, things that can be both lucrative and innovative. So that's kind of my vision right now. And that's what kind of got me so excited to really go head first.
So yes, we were centralized. And I was talking to Gary Tan, who's not a bad investor. Sarcasm, he's one of the best. And he uses YouTube. He started a video show and he's like, fuck it. Like, I'll work the algos. I don't need Patreon or all these like theoretically less centralized platforms. Like I'll build it on old fashioned way because I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. So, there'll be a million ways to skin the cat. We've just added, we've just added a million new ways to skin the cat other than Facebook, Google, Twitter, Instagram.
TikTok, yeah.
And TikTok. So, but where's Snoop? Obviously you're going to, beyond Snoop, you're looking for other people that you think have talent or you can partner with. But where does the talent lie in this? They got to learn all these things too.
Yeah. Hopefully they have strong teams around them who can experiment and that they have faith and trust in, because I'm still learning it. The short period of time I've been in it, because I'm by no means an OG in the space. Like there's a lot of people who have been this for a lot longer. And by a lot longer, it might have been a few years. That's how quickly it's emerged. But, I'm still struggling with a number of things on how to how to purchase certain tokens and transfer the tokens and open a wallet. And, it's not easy. Just setting up a Coinbase account isn't easy. That's probably the most easy, but it's not that easy. So, and IDs and identification and all, KYL or KYC and, all these things. So, it's complicated. So the good part is that we've established a long-term trust, and there's trust in the sense of like, if you believe in it, like I have faith in you. I think my track record speaks for itself. So, we all have made some mistakes in our careers and things that did look great in hindsight. But I think, we're going to make some mistakes here. But he's embraced it. We did a couple things already. We did something with a big currency exchange called crypto.com, where we dropped some NFTs initially. And then we did something with a cool internet meme, Neon Cat. We collaborated with them to do an NFT. And now we have some really crazy stuff coming out, with the metaverse. So, I think this idea of an NFT and where we go next is, we're just we're like at the gate, right? We're just about to go in. And when we go into this world and this metaverse and, this crazy Ready Player One like experiences, it's about to get real. And the way these games are happening, the Axie Infinities of the world and what's happening with, some of this play to earn stuff, like I mean, it's going to change how we operate, and it's going to create all new kind of financial mechanisms.
Yeah, I mean, personally myself, because we know each other. How did we meet originally? Did you call me, or is it through Robinhood, or what was the original?
No, so we met. Yeah, somebody. I think we were introduced. It might have been through Mike Lazaro.
Okay.
Might have been, but or you I don't or Brian. I mean, there's some mutual friend. This is a long time ago already, and I feel like we've run into each other a few places, had a few phone calls. I really respect your voice in the space. I listened to the podcast during the pandemic. That's what got excited for me to speak to you today, because this was something that I really enjoyed during the glory days of the pandemic.
So the world that it exists today, because I'm fascinated by this selfishly, I'm setting up a production studio, not in the classic sense of production studio as an agent or just, funding stuff recklessly. But I have this vision of the world where, I don't know, investing was uncool for a long time. And there weren't enough of us. It was all ETFs, and it was like, give your money to BlackRock, and boom. Yahoo Finance 2.0. All the youths today think they invented it, but this stuff existed in the 90s, then went away because people got burned, and they got burned because there weren't centralized places to chat. And the internet flamed out so quickly. It was a bright light that faded. This boom has gone on from, great financial crisis. We're 15 years in, and it's just getting going again. So there's been there hasn't been a true technology crash since the internet crash. And so now you have, maybe there were 10 million investors in the E-Trade era. And now maybe there's going to be 100 million. I think between Coinbase and Robinhood, there's over 100 million people introduced to the financial system. So I like, putting my hat on. I was like, when I did Wall Strip, I'm like, fuck, there was like 4 people watching financial shows. And the idea was to, CNBC 2.0, but it got acquired before it became anything. Flash forward to today, and I'm like, wait a minute. You got 100 million people and shit content. I'm not knocking TikTok or CNBC. I'm just saying the content that I would watch and the people that I assume would watch the content that I would want to watch is in the millions now. And no one's created. If you go to Netflix or if you go to Hulu, you won't be able to find an investing show, or at least something that's like evergreen and watchable and educational. So that's what I'm thinking. So how does one, and you're in the same type of business, you're going out to find talented people. So how do you think about that beyond Snoop, like what you're doing today?
Yeah. No, it's funny. Everything you said is spot on. Like finance is cool, and financial education is amazing now. And the fact that
well, there is none. I agree. Finance education should be the focus. We've now got the utility, the Uber. We have a loose aggregated network of maps, StockTwits, Reddit. Yahoo Finance is still around, Twitter, TikTok. But there's there's no Khan Academy. There's no true, there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube, but there's no true place to lean back and get educated.
No, I mean, fair. Like, I think what I was saying is like, it's cool in a sense that like there's a youthful, people want to be financial now. They want to invest. They want to be part of this industry. Frankly, people want to make money, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day, and they want to be smart about it. What's pretty crazy to me, and it's funny because I know you probably enjoy talking about this, but like, I distinctly remember, when I was a kid, the idea of trading a stock was impossible.
Yep.
Like I'd have to ask you'd have to be the kid who just happened to be into it to ask your parent to buy something and have their broker spend $200 on a trade, right? Then I got to college and law school, and ultimately like there was Scottrade and and all these things.
A-Tech.
I remember that even that, I was like, this is impossible. Again, I had to have the 1 or 2 friends who understood it, and they probably did it wrong, but they were bragging about it. And then I did a couple things and never really embraced it. And then honestly, when Robinhood came out, like, I don't care what anybody says, but that was like, it was amazing. Like, oh, it's free and I can just swipe to buy this thing. Like, game over. It changed the game. And like, it absolutely blew my mind. And now to see the variety of products out there.
Correct.
That are sophisticated and cool and clean and, designed well. It's amazing. And leading into what is now this next innovative DeFi space, it's game over. And I'll tell you something I thought really funny, because I know you saw that day, but the day, obviously, the day that Robinhood went public, and you had all these like talking head bozos on CNBC, like, I like some of these guys. Some of these guys, I'm like, they're dinosaurs. I'm like, how is there not a youthful voice?
Well, they're not using the product, right? They're just commenting.
Well, there's not a single youthful voice there. Everyone is from a certain area, and they're clearly very smart people. I mean, I give a couple style remarks on the guy with the gray beard and the bald ponytail, but ultimately, like, they're sitting here bashing it. And then one woman up there, like, she's, talking about how, it feels like a game. They made it a game. I'm like, what games are you playing? Like, that's not a game. Like, wait till you see the next level of finance when we go into like
groups,
DeFi.
Yeah,
we're
DeFi.
About to go crazy. Finance is about to be a game,
right?
A pure game. It's a model game. We are nowhere yet. It's about everything.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that, because I don't want to like hog it, but like, we're on the same page here. Schwab was a game. Scottrade was a game. They just was a desktop game. And what do you think? Right. They didn't want to get the darts up, and darts is daily revenue per blah, blah, blah. Darts is the industry name that existed since the 90s, and Robinhood just perfected darts,
right?
Which has been a generally accepted fundamental way to value a brokerage. Like, it's just, they've thrown out the education with this. I got approached at my club yesterday by a friend of mine who follows my Twitter feed, and he's like, they fucked us on AMC. I go, how much did you own? He goes, I didn't own it. I go, well, you're a smart guy. Like, what are you talking about? He was like, Citadel, man. And I go, Citadel is a $10 billion company. It's a shit business in the relative world of $1 trillion companies. Someone has to do the business. And by the way, Google's a market maker. They take your bid and show it to everybody else, so the price of your soup tag goes up, or whatever the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're Citadel of every word on the internet. And then I've got CNBC talking about Citadel.
I think you're right. I feel like the game's been playing us for a long time, and now we're playing each other in this game.
Correct. Now at least everybody's in the game. You nailed it. Everybody at least is onboarded.
Yeah.
Like, when people tell me about Robinhood, I go, we never had a game. We had us against them, because we were on 20-minute delayed quotes on Twitter, so they were laughing at us, and we were playing their game.
Yeah.
Now we have information ahead of them, and we're trying to we're trying to take down the companies that brought us onto the game.
Yeah.
All Robinhood was, and all FTX and all these companies are, and Coinbase, are access points to play the game.
Yeah, and some of these young kids out here, I mean, what they're doing with these DeFi platforms and staking and trading tokens, and it's incredible. And they're building vast amounts of wealth. And that wealth is interesting, because a lot of people, going back to the NFT stuff, are like, why would I buy a JPEG for $40,000? And you're like, well, actually, there's the artistic element to it. There's clearly the gambling element to it. But it's an asset, and they're taking these coins and these tokens, and they're staking them in what is currently the bull run, which is the NFT stuff. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, I spent last weekend, like, I dipped my toes about.
You have to dip it. I haven't, so therefore I can't comment.
Oh, no,
so
I dipped my toes like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I dove headfirst in. I mean, I'll tell you what, I bought a Tom Sachs Rocket, which is this incredible project.
Does your wife know?
Oh, well, she knows. Look, I'll give some inside.
Here's what I say. Is NFTs are the new Porsches. You can't tell your wife.
Well, look, here's the deal. I had what's called a board. I have what's called a Bored Ape, which is a very kind of. I have a couple Bored Apes were valuable NFTs for this community, and they airdropped me a free Bored Ape kennel dog, and it's great. It's a beautiful, fun asset. I kept it in my wallet, and then eventually I priced it at 10 Ethereum, and I woke up the other day and it had been purchased. So it was about $30,000 for this free asset that was given to me. And I went and I purchased what is the Tom Sachs Rocket Factory, where I had to buy a nose of a rocket, a body of a rocket, and a tail of a rocket, take those 3 components, go to his website, burn them, and they created a new fully made rocket NFT, and they gave it to me. And it was a hefty price tag. Same price you'd pay for fine art. And I put it away, and we'll see if I get some bids on it. But I love it, and I feel like I'm part of this community now, and I'm collecting it. And I feel like, there'll be technology that'll innovate around it. And, I'm all in, man. I'm all in. That's just one story. I spent the whole weekend acquiring things like to no degree. I'm sure I'm going to wake up one day and, there's going to be a bust, but, I'm having fun right now.
So where do you display it? Or are you just saying, and do you have to worry about like a Porsche? So I think it's like a Porsche. Right? Like it's a weird phenomenon. You're doing it. So let me give you my thoughts and then you tell me what I'm thinking about it.
No, I love it. Go ahead.
So the old days like Snoop and I finally bought a Porsche. I don't know. It's not a big news. It's just, I don't know. I'm 55. Fuck it. And I was going to get a Tesla and the fucking thing wasn't being delivered. And then, I always thought it was a golf cart inside. And I'm like, all right, isn't it? Like Tesla will work for me as a buyer, if I walk in and I say, it's a great buying experience. Give me the car, fucking Jetsons. Like it should be waiting in the downstairs for me. And isn't that that's what Carvana kind of is? Like Tesla's like halfway there in the sense it's not even their fault. They're trying to produce these things. So I'm like, but as a buyer, I was ready to buy if you're of the age or the money where you can buy this thing in an internet era, the fucking car should be waiting. And so Tesla lost my order to a Macan. Okay. These are things that in your 40s, if you buy an NFT or a Porsche, you just don't tell your wife. The difference of the Porsche and the NFT is, although right now used cars are going up and that won't last, is that NFTs theoretically could rise in value because of limited supply. But you can't use it. And I think what's cool about NFTs in a world where they're printing endless money, it's stifling inflation. Like we're just pissing our money away digitally. Whereas if you use that $100,000 to buy a Porsche instead of an NFT, the what do you call it? The money movement, the movement of money created that different type of inflation. NFTs are a response to money printing. In the old era, without digital, we would just have massive inflation. Like people are worried about inflation. Thank God there's NFTs because otherwise everybody would be buying Porsches. And yes, Porsche stock would go up, but there would be massive inflation because people wouldn't be able to get their Porsches in time and their Teslas. So we have both going on. It's almost like the digital economy is saving us from massive inflation. I think the dollar would be worth a penny if there weren't NFTs. And yet you have old people on CNBC saying, oh my God, this is a crime. It's like the millennials, without knowing it, are saving the world by buying shit on the internet and taking it out of the system.
That's interesting. I haven't really thought about it like
I'm
that.
not high. Does that make sense at all?
No, it was great. I mean, you said a lot though. There's you covered a variety.
But I've wanted to just say it on a podcast and I haven't had a chance to say it. So
no, it was great. I mean, in a way, you're arguing like this one industry is deflating this other industry while inflating it. I mean, it's like this inflationary deflationary thing because look, the NFT
it's like a check on the Fed in some level.
Yeah. But it's moving so fast that you're getting so much inventory. So fast.
The old people are happy because Goldman Sachs is going up and Wells Fargo is going up. The young guys are happy. They're trading in NFTs. And the economy is surviving because the youths are taking this fucking excess money supply and pissing it away on JPEGs. But in the way, they're becoming the new land barons of the digital era, and old people won't recognize these kids, and they'll be wearing Lulu and Elo and all these other brands, and people won't know they're rich. And it's really just one of the most fascinating. And I'm not high and I don't smoke. And I'm just watching this and I'm watching all the bad takes. And I know this is why Snoop and I should have a chat.
You should do it. Let's go. We got a new show. That's a finance show.
But what's happening, Nick, is like, and it's like slow motion. I'm seeing it unfold as a educator and as someone who invests. And I can't even go fast enough. And what I'm trying to do is like make content to like make it all make sense. People have such bad takes, and it all showed me in the Robinhood thing. There was literally no users. They interviewed no users. They just had takes. Citadel, this, that, AMC, GME, and it's just like, oh my God, they're missing one of the most beautiful financial moments of all time, where we have two parallel economies.
Yeah, no, I spot on. I mean, you said a lot of good stuff, and I think there is an opportunity and a big opening for really strong and kind of youthful and irreverent financial content. But like to your point though about the Porsches and one thing that kind of ties back to the collectible side of this, but like what I've realized having come from a world where like sneakers, and I did a lot of sneaker deals and things like that. And, watching sort of the pandemonium around sneakers and collectible sneakers and watching that industry move sort of NFT space and aligning, talking about that and kind of thinking about it in terms of a Porsche or a Land Rover Defender or a Rolex. Like, these are symbols of success. These are things that people dream of their whole lives that put meaning into them. And when they acquire them, I mean, half the enjoyment is the pursuit of acquiring that Porsche, right? It's actually, I think, once you get the Porsche, you want another Porsche, right? So the idea there of like there is a similarity between what's happening with the NFT side of it, because there's like, great artists and creative influencers and brands like Porsche that are and Burberry and LVMH.
They're going to be the NFT leaders, dude.
Yeah, they're already creating them. Like, there's a Burberry one that came out this week. There's a Louis Vuitton game that just dropped. Like, that world is easily morphing into this NFT world. But beyond that, and I think where there's the difference here is like, you have the art side of it, you have the collectible side of it, but I believe, you're seeing a mix of a utility side developing, as well as like a really next level generative programming, like stuff that's happening where guys and girls are going out and creating these computer programs that are generating these new products, whether they're in music or they're visual or they're sounds, that are essentially, being created by an algorithm. And then they're taking these products, they're offering selects, call them 8, 10, 12, 200, 10,000 of them to buyers. And then those tokens that these people acquire, they may trade amongst themselves, they may keep, they may actually, the more they trade, the more that product, like, you can program into it that it erodes. So there's all these like technical things that are going to happen that create these weird deflationary mechanisms in this sort of token world. So, in one respect, like, there is this high-end collector side and there's this full-blown gambling side. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, well, my wife does know I do this because she sees me and I'm on there and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I just sold this ape and I bought this rocket and I bought these fluffies and I'm all what I'm doing is asset managing. I'm trading.
You're a land baron.
Yeah,
just a digital one.
I'm buying and I'm selling. And like the fact that I actually, because I sold this dog, right? And I don't want to go all over the place to lose track of people listening, but I bought this dog and it was 10 ETH and I woke up and it was 30K in my Ethereum account.
Oh my
God. And I said, you know what I said to myself? I was like,
I can live without it. Fuck the dog.
No, you know what I said? I was like, I probably sold it for too low. And then I looked, and the guy who I sold it to had it listed for 100th ETH. I don't think he sold it.
That's maybe the coolest part that people aren't even talking, because I'm not in this world yet.
Yeah.
Because I want to go outside once in a while and
you won't go outside. And
I now find myself going outside just to pee on a plant, just to get some outside time. I have 6 bathrooms in my house. I walk outside just to get the experience of being outside, to pee. Yeah. And I'm not even in your world.
Yeah.
I'm over there just talking regular stocks and investing. So I wish I was your age, but I want to get involved in this stuff without building again. You know what I mean? And I don't want to trade this stuff. But what's interesting about what you said is you now get to see the trail of how stupid you were. You see who bought your shares, what he's doing with them immediately, or what ETH or whatever you're calling. So you're smacking your head in real time as this guy parlayed your thing and went, and you can follow this thing forever. Whereas when I sell my Apple stock in 2014 or 2002 or 4, or whenever I started dribbling it out, it'd be hilarious if that guy was connected to me and I could see his life on my Apple shares. It's amazing.
So I didn't realize how easy
That's what's going to go on, right? Yeah. The guy's going to be fucking trolling you for the rest of your life.
Well, I didn't realize how easy it was.
Here I am in the Riviera with your Apple shares, Howard. Probably a bad decision to sell. I don't even think people have figured out the content that's going to come from these memes. Because you're going to be able to follow that fucking dog you sold for the rest of your life. Now, could work the other way. You'll be able to make fun of that fucker for buying your dog as it falls in value.
Right, exactly. And like, I'll tell you what, like there's a I didn't realize how easy it was, but there's some wallets
out there. It's so easy. That's what I am not going down the rabbit hole.
There's this one called wallet called Rainbow. And I was in it and somebody showed me that I could just, once you get somebody's wallet address, and a lot of people are changing their wallet addresses to very simple. And you go in there, you load it in, and forever. I mean, it's amazing because it's not just their NFTs, but it's crazy to see how much Ethereum they have and Bitcoin. And I'm sure there are ways to make it private, but it is a fascinating thing to see into somebody's wallet.
Yeah, it's like the flyover states have now become ETH. It's like, I'm Idaho. That's how big. Like, go look through my vast land grab of digital objects. And these kids are playing a fucking game that we don't understand. You're a crossover. I wish I had the energy to go into this.
It's a time suck. It is an absolute time suck. But
And
the good part for me is that I'm in it deep on my own, and I have a crew. And honestly, like Gary V, like who you brought up earlier, like, and there's some
the guy threw himself into it. He deserves the riches. I can't do it.
There's some monsters on Twitter. I mean, there's some beasts out there. Like, there's a whole NFT Twitter. This guy Jimmy, this guy G Money, this guy Richard. Like, these guys are. So
how do I partner with you since we have you on the podcast?
I mean, I'm ready, man. So I'm doing two things. Like, because, I told you I was part of an agency, cashmere agency, innovative, incredible, creative, multicultural agency for years.
Yep.
I just recently left, and I was, as I'm an advisor. I just recently went out and sort of continue to work with Snoop, but I'm really full on into what is this NFT and crypto stuff. And I'm building both, a DAO to allow friends to sort of participate and buy and sell assets and invest in other companies. Also, it's a good time to promote. I launched a podcast called "Who's Buying This Shit," which is essentially talking about.
That's what we just talked about. It'd be hilarious content to just interview the guy who made a fortune off you because you sold early.
Yeah. So me and Diota Leonard, who manages Grimes, who's another massive star. Grimes is a singer.
Am I just making myself old there?
Oh, he's going to be a big star one day.
Who's U2? Who's this Bono guy? But I guess Bono feels as bad as I do. He's like, fuck it, I'm rich. I kind of really wish I'd written all my shit in the digital era. All these artists are like, man.
Right. Well, there's going to be some artists don't need to, but there's going to be some artists, because a lot of the problem is like you have some fine artists who are doing it, I think, in really sophisticated ways, like Tom Sachs and Damien Hirst. Music tends to be late, man. I mean, like don't get me wrong, there's musical like programs.
Music and finance are the latest. Stuff. Music and finance, because the man controls it.
Yeah. So we're going to wait. And then there's like some hokey stuff. And, there's some people who tried and did a couple cool things, but it's going to take some time. No one's nailed it in the music category yet.
Well, I want to work with you. I know I have some money with Mike Dudas and Serge. It's at, what's it called? 6-Man Ventures. And they're just so deep. Mike's at Pax House. And I'm like, take my money, please. Like, I don't care if you got 3 full-time jobs. You're in it. Justin, who had a product at Starks, that's a good friend of mine. I'm like, take my money, please. Like, I mean, I don't want to complain about it. I want to participate. And if I can't participate with my time, I'm just going to try and learn by reading quarterly letters and I'll find something. But what I want to do, and hopefully you can help me and we'll talk back channel, is I want to take all the stuff in my head and all my network and kind of like Judd Apatow for finance. Like, take my network and take these networks and get good content. Like, get this stuff so people can lean back and go, like 30 on 30 for finance. And really lean back and just know the stories and how the stuff is happening right now.
I love it. I'm all in. You when and where, and I'm there. And let's dig in and let's do some fun stuff together.
So you full-time now doing the new thing. I was watching, it's so funny because Netflix, which I'm super bullish on, and it's kind of not, it's just resting or biding its time as it digests a massive move the last 10, 15 years. And they're, like you said, I'm like up last night and I'm like, the Geffen and you were watching at the same time, I guess, yesterday. But the Geffen,
I just watched it.
Yeah, it's like an old documentary. So I think it's old, and Netflix served it up. And he's literally, the timing of them serving it is like, there's going to be 100 Geffens.
I mean, he's an inspiring guy. Like, a lot of things are about timing, right? His timing was impeccable. And
the music, that one street in LA in the 70s.
Sunset Boulevard and Joni Mitchell. And I mean, it's incredible timing, but clearly it was fun to see a guy who was both about the craft, but also the wheeler dealer. He was clearly an anomaly. Just
the way he got his job and lied, didn't lie in a bad way, just lied to keep his job and had to go through if people. And the fact that he had no skills, and he just admitted, I got no skills, and he was reading shit up. His skill was he could read memos upside down as he was delivering mail. I mean,
he was a wheeler dealer. He's a hustler. He knew how to he knew how to sell. I mean, look, I tell you, my background, one of the things that I figured out was, I moved out to LA when I was probably like fresh out of college. And I wanted to be in the film business in the 90s when like, that was like the independent film thing. And I crashed and burned. And I remember I talked to my dad, he was like, go to law school and do whatever you want to do. I went to New York, went back to law school, kind of like mediocre, made my way through, kind of got a mediocre job out of law school. But what I remember is I started kind of realizing that I didn't want to go to court and I didn't want to fight with people. I just wanted to keep moving. And I would pick up the phone and start settling these cases. And it was kind of like, this is probably a terrible example on a financial show, but it reminds me of Wolf of Wall Street when he's in the penny stock boiler room.
Yeah.
And it's just calling boom, 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 boom. And after doing, 40, 50 calls a week, I started to craft this sort of like storytelling and navigate negotiation. And to this day, I fortunately realized real quick that law was not for me. I left, moved to LA, got into TV, got to meet Snoop, got to meet, work in television for a while, then joined the management team and now more on the, my own side. But those lessons that I learned in that sort of fast-paced negotiation environment is probably one of my best crafts that I keep.
Oh, you're amazing. And one of the great things, and I'm pretty good at spawning, one of the great things about this podcast, it's Panic with Friends. Like, you don't have to listen. This is for me. I make the show for me.
That's why it's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares who lives? We joke, but like I listen to Conan. Obviously, he has a big audience, but he doesn't know he's doing it for him.
Right.
The smartless guys who are funny. Like I can, Jason Bateman and I forget the comedian that makes Will Arnett, who I don't even think's that good, but on the podcast he's fucking hilarious.
Right.
And they're just goofing on each other, and I'm like, that's how ideas get formed. They're just being formed audio-wise right now. I can't express these in blog posts. Like I see this world. Knut's hearing it for the first time here today. I haven't had a chance to really express how bullish I am on content and on media. And podcast isn't the thing, and YouTube's not the thing, and I don't know what the thing is. It's part NFT, it's part community, it's part just get shit done. But there's never been a better time to be another Geffen.
Right.
Now, the model will look different, but Geffen was basically what a million kids could do today. Right? You build a community, you help each other out, you're going to sell to the man and piss off your family. Like the story is amazing. Anybody who's anybody should watch the documentary, put aside what you feel about the guy and just see an empire get built and destroyed and built. And because the content kept changing. He went from music, then he went to TV, then he went to movies and back to music. And it's like,
oh yeah, he was fluid. He knew how to
he's fucking fluid.
Just move.
But
with the
you
wave,
need to be like Geffen today must be printing. He must be going, fuck, I wish I wasn't so old because this is going to be a license to print money. And you don't have to hoard it right now. Yeah. There's just so much of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a wild time. I mean, I think like it's funny you say that about the kids today who can be together. I mean, there's some interesting, these Discord groups and these sort of token communities out there kind of to go back to the crypto side. Like this, I don't know if you've seen Friends with Benefits, but like they have an awesome community built around like creatives and entertainments. And a lot of it lives in a Discord group and it has a token that they've distributed. And
interesting.
There's content being made by independent, mod creators. And then there's events going on in Paris. Like I went to one that they held and like, this is essentially, and again, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it feels like a very kind of just fluid system where it's operating amongst like various stakeholders, if that makes sense.
It does. And it's like there's three business models. There's ads, and I don't think it's bad or good. It's just a model. And we call that data or whatever. There's transaction, and then there's e-commerce. And I think you have to have all three now. Like Coinbase could end up in all three if they figure out how to create a token of their own. You know what I mean? Like the brokerages are figuring out how to be two of the three.
Right.
And these communities can be all three. They can be ads, they can be subscription revenue, they can be e-commerce. You know what I mean? And they can create a token that makes everybody participate in the community get wealthier. It's fucking bananas.
The irony, though, that's one thing is worth noting is that like I've never experienced an industry where the U.S. is now the one suppressing the success and the innovation. I always felt like love or hate it, but I always felt like we lived in a country that was really pro technology and innovation, and now I see this like draw to move to Europe or to move to other places. Where you can not have to worry about and I know it protects people, but these crazy regulations that are being slipped into bills that are essentially trying to suppress like, some of this crypto technology in the world. Like this is an interesting time, and I wonder how it plays out.
It's a really weird time. So I don't think U.S. is as far behind as people say.
No, it's not. I mean, look, I think you have incredible technology companies, you really innovative stuff, but you're at this weird moment where you don't feel as though your leadership understands what's happening. And it's hard to understand, but you don't feel like you have the experts in office, and everything is so polarized that there's no normal conversation.
There's no normal, but don't trust me. Go to Canada, go to Europe, and you go, oh, can't wait to get home. And I think Americans, that's a whole nother thing. Is like America should just send kids away for a couple of years, like Knut, right? Go to fucking Oslo, which is great. You'll be excited to come home and taste McDonald's or whatever. Kiss the fucking ground, kiss the pavement.
I am romanticizing it. I think.
Yeah, we're all romanticizing. You can go to Coronado, where I live, and it's Americana 19. There's many places in America that are still Americana, including flyover states. What we've lost is the ability to just listen. Yeah. And that's because of the internet. We're all busy. We all want to fucking have a Porsche and an NFT.
Yeah. And we like to scream at each other. Yeah. Anonymously. We love to be anonymous.
Yeah. I love to be pseudonymous, and I don't mind being fully transparent. Like I use my own name on Twitter, and it works for me. I tell people if they really want to grow, they better go full name, because you can't build a brand as pseudonym. It's way easier to build a brand as yourself.
I agree.
So look forward to having, I'd like to have you back on. I'd love to come. I'll go listen to your podcast. So where's that podcast?
So we just dropped the second episode today. We're dropping it on right now. It's on SoundCloud. The name of it is Who's Buying This Shit. You can look my name up.
And why'd you SoundCloud? Can I get it on Spotify or Apple?
Yeah, the goal is I want to get like 4 or 5 in the can, and then we'll go over there. We're in the infancy stages of this thing, but I think we can build a nice audience. When we do, we'll go wider. But now you got to search it out.
Well, good for you, because it'll just help you. It's like the blog. It's for me. It helps me think about money. Sadly, it all comes down to money.
I need to get it out. I need to talk. I need to vocalize it.
Yeah, it still comes down to money. Money will just find its way to you if you become an expert at a subject.
Right.
Look at Snoop. The next level of money is making good decisions about who you're going to attach your name to, and Snoop continues to do that.
Oh, appreciate that.
And Shaq continues to do that.
Yeah, Martha, good. There's some big names out there.
All right, buddy. So I'll listen to the podcast. Great to talk to you. And how do we find you on Twitter? Like, how do we find Nick Adler?
Yeah, so Twitter, I'm same on Twitter. I'm Nicky Ads, NICKYADS, as I am on Instagram. Howard, I appreciate you having me, man. I've been listening to the podcast for a long time, and obviously I'm a fan of yours, so I want to keep doing more stuff together.
So it's NICKYADS?
Yep, NICKYADS.
Got it. I didn't know that. The meta world, Nicky Ads. Okay, buddy.
All right, my man. See you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Did that help you, Knut?
Absolutely.
Because if it helped you, then I feel a little bit better, because you're way behind. I'm way behind. Did that blow your mind?
It does blow my mind, and I think it's amazing. It's amazing that I just can't wrap my head around a lot of this stuff, but I'm learning.
No, but you can. It's supply, demand, time, scarcity. I mean, it's just, you got to put the time in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Panic with Friends. This is Howard and Knut. Once a week, we talk to investors, entrepreneurs, traders, venture capitalists, trying to get a couple steps ahead of everything. Too many people think they got to be the first in. You can almost be the second last in, as long as the trend's good. You just don't want to be the last one out. So tune in. We'll help you do that. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Google, Apple, Spotify. Just search my name, Howard Lindzen, and we'll see you next week.
Howard Lindzen is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or StockTwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions in securities discussed in this podcast.
Amazing. It's amazing that I just can't wrap my head around a lot of this stuff, but I'm learning.
No, but you can. It's supply, demand, time, scarcity. I mean, it's just, you got to put the time in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Panic with Friends. This is Howard and Knut. Once a week, we talk to investors, entrepreneurs, traders, venture capitalists, trying to get a couple steps ahead of everything. Too many people think they got to be the first in. You can almost be the second last in, as long as the trend's good. You just don't want to be the last one out. So tune in. We'll help you do that. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Google, Apple, Spotify. Just search my name, Howard Lindzen, and we'll see you next week.
Howard Lindzen is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or StockTwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions in securities discussed in this podcast. Guests may maintain positions in securities discussed in this podcast.